We come from Colorado, where we have been attending a church for 40 years, and we have had to move in the last few years because of what's happening. But we have Dr. McLean, a physician who started a church in his home, and it's grown, and now we're renting a Presbyterian church, and we have probably averaging 50 people coming, and they're preaching the Word, and we're being blessed there. But in Colorado, we have maybe a third of the churches there that are really on fire for the Lord, and the big churches have tended to go and become affiliated with Willow Creek and Saddleback and follow those programs, because after all, they look, oh, look what's happening in these churches. They have 20,000 people. We need to learn, how they're doing it. And in fact, it's not working very good, because all of those churches have financial problems. It seems like all the liberal churches. But I'd like to ask a question to everybody tonight here. Are you doing, am I doing, all that we can do to take the third angel's message to a lost and dying world? What are you doing? Could we do more? And the Bible says, that if we keep our voices silent, the very rocks will cry out. And I think that's happening actually now. My wife and I haven't always been as aware as we should be of witnessing to other people. If people ask us, of course, you're there, you are. But, we can make daily, we have people we meet every day, the postman, the mailman, the trash man, the people we do business with, the grocery store. And so there are opportunities that we can have to witness, particularly with the world situation, what's happening in the world today. People, I think, are more receptive. I was at Walmart a week ago, and I was standing in the line, and the lady was talking to the man, and they were talking about the problems in the world. And I said to her, instead of watching the news tonight, you can go home and read Matthew 24. You'll see the news there. And in fact, Dr. McLean was telling us that one of his staff members, a lady on his staff that is known to be non-interested in, she kind of jokes that she's the pagan there in his staff. And with what's happening in the world today, with the riots we see, the Middle East, every day in our newspaper, we have 6 or 8 countries where rioting is going on, Syria and Libya and Iraq, and there's a little synopsis of each country, and we see, the dictators, and then what happened in the earthquake. I'm sure you all saw the pictures. Amazing, unbelievable stuff in the earthquake. And so people are asking, what's happening? So here this pagan lady came to Dr. McLean and said, what's happening to our world? He says, tonight I would like you to go home and read Matthew 24. You'll think you're reading the newspaper. She came back the next door and she said, what's happening? Is God mad at us? What's going on? And he says, and they had a Bible study from this lady who always joked about being the pagan in his staff. And he said, and they went over, had a little Bible study there at the office, and he said, tonight I want you to go home and read Daniel 2. And she came back, and now this lady is coming to the weekly Bible studies that Dr. McLean has there in his office. In America, I've often wondered, what is it going to take to reach Japan? This prosperous country, this secular country, what is it going to take? In America, too. What's it going to take? Americans are quite comfortable, like maybe some Australians are. We haven't. What do we need? Heaven. We're doing pretty good. But I'll tell you what's happened in America. Things are happening. We have foreclosures. We have probably unemployment as bad as it was ever in the Depression years. Unemployment level, the facts say, 9%. But hey, folks, there's 19% that had to stop looking. They gave them 99 weeks of unemployment. And if you actually knew what's happening in the unemployment in America, people losing their jobs, people losing their homes, foreclosures, banks are closing. We have a tremendous amount of banks that have had bad loans. They're going into foreclosure, and people are on the street. And so now I think we can get the attention of the world, and because of what's changing. It was interesting when the earthquake hit. The moment the earthquake was 10 o'clock Denver time when the earthquake hit. I didn't know it. I was on my computer preparing for a sermon for the next day. And when I turned my computer on the next morning, it flashed over here that there was this terrible earthquake in Japan I looked at the time, and I looked at the searching that I had been doing the night before praying, and all of the searching on my computer was like Isaiah 13:13. He's going to shake mightily the earth. He's going to shake mightily the heaven. Haggai 2 talks about that. And what I was looking up all these scriptures in the Bible that talks about God shaking the earth and the heavens. And it's interesting because God is also shaking the heavens. When the tsunami hit in 2004, 44 hours after the earthquake hit, that terrible, terrible earthquake that caused 200,000, 300,000 people to die, we had a starquake. We had a gamma ray burst like we have never seen before. In fact, 20 years ago, we really didn't know anything about gamma ray bursts. 20 years ago. 15 years we started discovering these things. And now we have satellites that are looking and watching for them. We can see them when they're hitting. But the biggest one ever that shook the whole solar system, it shook our, there's tremendous shaking. And there's some that think that may have caused the earthquake that happened. There's a book that's been written already on that. I haven't seen anything. If that was the case, then we should look at, Christchurch earthquake. We should look at the Japanese earthquake. We should see more gamma ray bursts. I haven't seen anything on that. But the Bible does say God's going to shake the heaven and the earth. And it's getting people's attention, I think. Now, I know Australia's doing pretty good. You guys are doing pretty good, You still got heaven here. Your economy's good. Your dollar's on the rise. You probably, I don't know what your unemployment is, but you guys aren't ready for this probably like we are in America. What's going on here? Okay. But I want to share with you some of the things that are going on in America. We have a little church in Golden, Colorado, which is right near where my office is. A small church, maybe 75 people. And they have voted they want to plant a church. And they took $800 and they sent out flyers to his 80215 zip code. And I forget how many thousand they sent out there. But they had, in that zip code, 26 people asking for Bible studies. In Golden, they had 20. So they have 46 people right now asking. This church of 75 has 46 people asking for a Bible study. This is unheard of. I mean, you know what the response is? If you do the Steps to Christ project, if you set out 1,000 or 10,000 or the Great Controversy, how many people actually respond for that? It's very, very small. I mean, this is unheard of to spend $800 and end up with 46 Bible studies. So they've started going out. This has just happened in the last month now. And so they were going to these names, but they had also contacted Signs of the Times. Do you have any interest in response? And so they had some signs response. So they came to this one door. This is my friend Chuck and Rhonda. Went to the door and said, "We are here from the Signs of the Times." This lady said, "Come on in." On the coffee table was the Signs of the Times. She said, when the doorbell rang, we were praying. We don't know who's sending us signs. We were praying that somebody from the Signs of the Times would contact us. So it's amazing that people, because I think of the economy, because the world condition, people are interested in hearing and knowing what's happening, My wife and I, like I said, we haven't always been aware, but we're becoming more aware of this. The FedEx lady comes, I go, you can ask, if somebody doesn't ask you what's happening, people will ask you. If you're visiting with them, what do you think is going on? And once again, maybe Australia, maybe you're not affected like we are. But this is your opportunity when people ask, or you can ask them, what do you think is happening in the world today? And if they pick up on it, tell them, read 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 17, or 1 through 7, Matthew 24, to see what's going on in the world. We are becoming more aware, witnessing on the airplane, witnessing to our business partners. I was over to Steel Roll Die Company, people that make dies for us. And I don't see the man a couple times a year, and he came in, he's 65 years old. And he said he lost his wife. And he just poured his heart out to me for quite a bit of time. He just poured his heart out to me about his wife who had a kidney problem, and the doctor wouldn't replace the kidney because they said she was not, her health wasn't good enough. And I said to Frank, I said, I sympathize with him. I said, would you like to pray? Would you like me to pray for you? I prayed. This big guy he's 65, but he is like a chunk of muscles. And he put his arms around me, and I prayed with him. And I said, would you like Bible studies? We could study this, and let me get you some stuff on the state of the dead and so forth. And so we have these opportunities. I bet you nobody has ever prayed with a man before, probably. And so people, I'm going to have to ask Pamela on our time so I can watch our time. It's 4:15, and I'm not sure just how long I'm supposed to go because we started a little bit late. But I could go all night. Okay. Well, yeah, I got quite a ways to go yet. But I forgot where I was at now. We were talking. Yes, I prayed with a sick man. Okay, well, it'll maybe come to a senior moment here. So what we're doing in our little church, and we have like this Dr. McLean's Southwest Fellowship. We voted to send out a great controversy to everybody in our zip code, about 16,000 or 15,000 in our zip code will be receiving the great controversy. In fact, they're going to be mailed out this week. We started something else for 2 weeks. We've just done this 2 weeks now. We've been going door to door with the great controversy and a DVD. And, my wife says, people, we're not here selling anything. My wife says, we go two of us together. We're not selling anything, but people are asking what's happening in the world. And here's a book that's got the answers. And she'll read some of the titles of the chapters. And then I have a DVD, and this knocks your socks off. What does it say on the top here? You can read right through the clear. Here is a picture of Gaddafi. Here is a picture of the riots going on over there. Here is the earthquake. Here is the ship going under the bridge in Japan. And what it says is earthquakes, riots, ruthless dictators. What does the Bible say? Absolutely, totally amazing DVD Bible prophecy. This is 2 sermons of 24 from David Ashrick. And it says you can get here's my email. Here's the next 22 if you want the next 22 free. If you like these, email me. I'll get you the next set free. And the first title is You Can Understand Bible Prophecy. David does a tremendous job on this, I think, because, you've got Hal Lindsey, and Hal Lindsey, he's like got this rapture figured out, and here's Russia in the Bible. And then Russia, is what David says. Okay, Russia falls. Now we got to get the newspaper out and figure out who is the beast or the bear, whatever. And so and then Iran falls or North Korea, whatever. And he says, what David says is here, you need to let the Bible interpret the Bible. He says, I can show you 50 things of the Old Testament that are repeated in Revelation. And he says, but let me give you 5. He says, in the Old Testament we have Babylon falling. In Revelation we have Babylon falling. He says, we have the plagues of Egypt. In Revelation, we got the plagues. He says, we got the tree of life in the garden. In the Revelation, he says, and he starts listing all the things that let the Bible interpret the Bible. It just makes so much sense to me rather than some of these crazy guys that come up with all these weird prophecies. So we're thinking that this will catch the attention of these people. And it's interesting. Some people want the DVD. They're not readers. Some people will take both. Some people just want the book. But I have a machine that spits these out and puts the pictures and puts the text on them. And I can leave for work at night and press the button. And in the morning, I got maybe 100, 125 of these DVDs. And we do them for less than, we get, 26 cents for the DVDs. And the ink, if I don't put the ink on just really strong, I can get about 2,000 DVDs for one set of ink cartridges. And so that's what we're doing. First, we've gone in our church 2 weeks. I went to another church the week before and left off 35 of them. They've already requested 7 sets of the David Ashrick videos. And I'm sure a lot of them are going to our members, but it's interesting. And I mean, there's a work we can do, I think, to reach the world. And once again, what are you doing and are we doing all we can do to reach the world with the third angel's message? It is just amazing what's happening in the world today. I think what's happening in the Christian world, in the Adventist world today, believe it or not. Adventist World Radio is reaching the world. We were visiting them at ASI a couple of years ago, and the man, we could hardly get away. He was telling us story after story after story of miracles that are happening. Adventist World Radio sent some people into, I think it was North Vietnam, to visit some of the villages back in the jungle there or whatever. And they came to the first village, and the chief of the village says, you know, somebody came here, a very impressive man, big, tall, impressive man came and told me that our people, that we should turn our radio because this would be a big help to our people. And they were already keeping Sabbath. And they went to the next village, and Adventist World Radio had identified 21 villages that were already keeping Sabbath because an angel had been there. You know, if we keep our voices silent, then will the very rocks cry out. And the Adventist Church has more television coverage than any denomination on planet Earth, more than the Catholics. 3ABN owns around 200 television stations in North America. And people are walking in. People will watch it for a year. Most of them watch it for a long time before they make that move. And they go find a church and they say, can we come in? The problem is when they get in the church, what are they going to hear? That is the problem. They have to keep searching. And we have seen people walk in, and a couple years later they lose it because this is not what I learned on 3ABN. But I travel and I speak. Okay, so I guess I should tell you. I built telescopes, but I have started this ministry years ago, and we travel all over the world lecturing on the Hubble, the Bible, the Big Bang. I have a daily TV program on Loma Linda. It's on every day on Loma Linda. We've been on 3ABN. I have no idea how many times on 3ABN. We did a whole 16-week series, and I think we're on Thursday Night Live about 9 times probably, and 3ABN today. We've been doing that. And so as a result of that, we get invitations to speak all over the world. I've been lecturing in 14 cities in Russia and in France. We did a camp meeting. My wife was there with me, and we do camp meetings in the U.S., and we have 2 invitations to go to Africa this next year. So we get to travel and share our programs on the heavens there, which you're going to start seeing tonight and tomorrow. But I'm also in the communications industry. I have a telescope business. I'm a consultant for Dish Network. Dish Network is the network that carries 3ABN in North America. And I worked for Dish Network. The founder is the richest man in Colorado. He's worth $7 billion. He used to come to our home all the time. When he was starting his business, I started working as a consultant for him in 1980. He started in 1981. And so when 3ABN went off the air, we needed somebody to contact. You know, these people, you can't reach these people to get their attention. 3ABN went dead, okay? Sky Angel, tried to shorten his story. Sky Angel owned 17 transponders where 3ABN was broadcast. Sky Angel was a Christian broadcasting a 30 Christian programming. 3ABN went off the air. They didn't want to get them back on the air. They did not want 3ABN back on the air because they were getting pressure from other churches. And they did not cooperate. They weren't trying at all to get them on. And they, in fact, you know, I have letters that they wrote to Moses over this deal. And they were not interested at all in getting back on. And they said, you guys are selling other dishes. You're supposed to sell only our dishes. And so, but there were miracles happen. Miracle after miracle happened in this process. And so I contacted Moses, and I said to Moses, I'm going to be meeting with the founder of Dish Network. Is there anything I should say? He said, yeah, he's not answering his emails. He said, we were supposed to relaunch in January. I don't think he knows this. So I talked to Charlie, the founder there, and he says, I wouldn't put anybody ahead of 3ABN. He says, I don't micromanage that. He says, my people take care of that. But he says, I'll check into it. And I get an email next month. He's like, we got a plan. I'll keep you informed. We're meeting with Sky Angel. Next month I get a plan. He says, we got a plan I think you're going to like. Next month he says, you're going to launch in May 17. And so they went on the air, but Charlie gave us 2 channels for free. He put us back on the old channel. Now here we have Sky Angel owns part of the channel. Am I talking too fast? Do I need a translator? Are you with me? Okay. Moses at 3ABN. He's the engineer at 3ABN. Okay. And so Charlie, out of 61.5 in the east, and I'm over here, he put us back on the air under Dish. We weren't under Sky Angel anymore. Okay? And that turned out to be a miracle. Then he put us on another channel out here that covers Hawaii and Alaska at 129 degrees. And we didn't ask, and he gave us 2 channels for free. Okay? Now what happens, Sky Angel goes defunct, belly up, and bankrupt. Sky Angel carrying 30 channels out here. If 3 had still been on Sky Angel, they'd have been off the air. But here they are, a public domain. You see, if you're going to have 500 channels, you have to carry a few public that qualify for public access. So he has to carry a few freebies, and he likes 3ABN. I like Moses. I like Danny, he says. I wouldn't put anybody ahead of them. So now in North America, everybody who watches high definition on Dish, okay, and they got 13, 14 million people, everybody who watches high definition gets 3ABN for free. And this was a miracle, okay? So now Sky Angel goes belly up. Now we've got a million people out here who've been watching Trinity Broadcasting, all these other Christian. The only Christian channel they can get is 3ABN. Miracles are happening, I'll tell you. I have lost track now of how many. I used to know exactly how many channels we have, but we have more TV stations, 3ABN, than any other denomination. We're covered, of course, with the internet. We have 3ABN Proclaim, which is 24-hour preaching, 3ABN Latino, and they're having requests for cable companies in Central America. I called Molly one day. I called her, Molly, how many channels are you getting? She says, this week we've had 40 cable companies asked to carry 3ABN Latino. 40 cable companies. So they have 3ABN Latino, 3ABN Proclaim. They have Sunbeam channel. 3ABN now has a new black channel for the inner city. Then we have Hope channel, Hope Church channel. We have Hope Latino. Lord only knows how many channels are going out there. I'll tell you. We have Loma Linda Broadcasting. Loma Linda Broadcasting has Loma Linda English, Loma Linda Chinese, Loma Linda Arabic. And Gannon, that's where I have our daily TV program there. And Gannon, the president of Loma Linda, tells me that China, they were contacted by the Chinese government, and China said, before the Olympics happen, we would like to understand the Christian culture of America. Would you send a delegation over here to inform our leaders of our world, what is it, my mind just doesn't happen very often, but the Olympics, yes. So, I didn't see my wife here. You been here the whole time? Would you stand up so everybody can see my wife? This is my wife, Dieta. You say Dieta, D-E-E-T-T-A. So here China says, we got the Olympics coming. We want to understand the Christian culture of America. Would you send a delegation over to teach our people about the Christian culture of America? And in the process, there's a lot of Chinese that are studying medicine at Loma Linda. So there's a connection there. And then the Chinese government said, we would like to carry Loma Linda Chinese channel in Beijing and the major cities of China. And I don't know how many cities, but some of the major cities are carrying Loma Linda Chinese broadcasting, and we have even Maury Venden on there, preaching righteous by faith into China. Then China said, our people would like to learn about the English language. Could we carry your English channel? So here they are in a major city of China carrying 2 of our channels. And then they said, oh, by the way, we have 8 million Chinese in America that want the homeland television. They are on the IP box. We have 8 million Chinese in America that can tune in to both the Chinese English, the Chinese channel, the Chinese-speaking channel. And then they said, and China's trying to block Christian broadcasting in China. And believe this or not, this is what Gannon told me. The Chinese government said, we would like Loma Linda to critique any Christian broadcasting that's being broadcasted. We will only want to broadcast the ones that you approve of into China. Is God working? Okay, in addition, we have Life and Health Channel. We have Doug Batcher has 24/7 amazing facts. I don't know how much of this you get here. We have, if you go to ASI, we have probably close to 200 ministries, at least, and there are probably another 200 that don't make it to ASI. We have hundreds of personal ministries, of self-supporting ministries that are taking the word out to the world. There's hundreds of them. The ones that can afford the booth at ASI are between 150 and 200 are there. We have the Great Controversy Project. We've got the Desire of Ages Project. We got the One Day Church Project, the Maranatha. We got Asian Aid, Arise Institute. All of these ministries are taking the word out. So it's encouraging to me to see in this last moment of time what's happening. How many of you are familiar with the One Day Church? Let's see your hands. How many have heard the story of the machine that makes the churches? 3, 4 people. I got to tell you I tell you the story. Okay, Garwin McNeilis had this cement company up in Minnesota where he built trucks for cement trucks, okay, and dumped BFI trash trucks and cement trucks, and sold his company for more money than my eyes glaze over when I hear how much he sold his money. But he's got his heart for the Lord. He's building orphanages around the world, and doing all this stuff. Well, ASI had requests for 770 churches. Maranatha out of Sacramento. They had requests around the world for 700 churches. How are we going to build 770 churches? They went to Garwin. He said, is there any way we can come up with it? And Garwin went to work and designed a steel church that could be screwed together in one day. And they have posts, big things like this with lead in them. You pound the piers down into the ground, or you pour up track where you put it. They're made out of 14-gauge steel, so they give them a roof, and they give them rafters, and they give it's hurricane-proof, it's termite-proof. And they show in there how often they'll try to build churches in these third-world countries, and they build a roof, and a couple years later it's gone. So now here we got a steel roof, a steel building, and if it's hot, they can leave the sides open, or they can put up brick or bamboo or whatever what the local church do the sealing up of it. But they typically, as high as they hold about 150 people. Unless you're in India, you probably put in 300 people in there. But they're basically designed for 150 people. They started the process. It's been going now for, I think, 15 months. In 15 months, they put up 350 churches around the world in 15 months. They put them in a container. They can get 33 into a container. They ship them any place in the world for $1,500. Now, that was being subsidized, and it's been off and on again. The $1,500, I think, is back on. They're actually about $3,000 a church to ship them any place in the world. But they could only make so many. They have a big press machine. They get 14-gauge steel. Now, the McNeilises own southern Minnesota. You got all these McNeilises. One guy owns the bank, Denzel owns the bank. We got George McNeilis owns a machinery company. Garwin owned the cement truck company. We have Patrick McNeilis that owns a steel company. I've been there and seen it. Patrick McNeilis buys 100 boxcars of steel at a time. You think he's getting a good price on steel if he buys 100 boxcars at a time? Well, they needed 14-gauge steel for the churches. And so, they're getting the church for cost. They're getting the steel for cost. But they have to put them in a big machine because these rafters are, they got a big 14 or, I don't know, something like that, press that turns flat steel into 2x4s, into steel 2x4s. And one guy could only build 5 a day. And they looked at a machine that would roll form this, a machine where they'd put the steel in flat and it comes out 2x4s. But it was $650,000 for this machine. Well, at ASI 2 years ago, George runs a machinery company, so he's looking at all these machines. George calls Garwin at ASI and says, hey, there's this very machine we're looking at in Minneapolis at an auction, and it's got all the dies. It's got like $150,000 worth of dies with it. The machine was $650,000. And we're going to go up and bid on it. They've got that thing at auction, delivered with tax for $38,000. Is the Lord in this process? Now they can make, 30 churches a day or something like that. And they're building in Mozambique. Wherever they put a church, they put a well. And these people in Mozambique, they have to go out. These women go out and with a bucket to find a place where they can get water, and the water's terrible. And they may have to walk for a couple hours to get per family. She can carry about 5 gallons of water, and that's their water for the day. And it may take 4 hours to go and get it. And now they got the water of life and a well by the churches in Mozambique. They're going through somebody who'd been in the well building business. A retired guy went over there with the machines, and they're putting waters in wells, churches and wells. Amazing what God's doing. So my question again, are we doing all we can do to reach the dying lost? Those around us, those are our contacts. Those in our you have people that I would never have influence over or contact with, right? Each one of us has an area of contact. Okay. That finishes that page. I'm going to have to do something here because, let's see. Okay. Something happened. I couldn't read my text. It all washed out. To wind this up, I think we We could put a stake in the ground and tell you exactly where we are today. Where we are today in the line of history, in the relationship with the time of trouble and the plagues being poured out. If you read in early writings, page 33, it says, at the commencement of the time of trouble, we were filled with the Holy Ghost as we went forth to proclaim the Sabbath more fully. And then it's referred to page 85 in early writings, and it says here, the commencement of the time of trouble here mentioned does not refer to the time when the plague shall begin to be poured out, but a short period of time just before the plagues are poured out. She's saying the Sabbath is going to be more fully proclaimed at a short period of time, this time of trouble, which we're in this difficult time just before the plagues fall, and the Sabbath is going to be proclaimed more fully. And she says, this is while Jesus is still in the sanctuary. At that time, while the salvation is closing, trouble will be coming on the earth. Certainly is. Look at Christchurch. Look at Japan. Look at Chile. Look at Haiti. Look at what's going on. In America, we're having more tornadoes and disasters, and you guys had floods here since November. It's been raining, right? And you look at the people who lost their, homes and businesses, I guess. So, as she says, at that time, while the work of salvation is closing, trouble will be coming on the earth. Nations will be angry. Is that what's happening when we see in the Middle East? The oil situation. Yet held in check, so as not to prevent the work of the third angel. So we're seeing trouble increasing, but it's still held in check. God's still in control. But she says, at this little time before, while Jesus is still in the sanctuary, the Sabbath is going to be proclaimed more fully. You folks, I'm going to tell you, the Sabbath is being proclaimed like you can't believe right now, at least in America. Okay, I don't know about down here. I'm reading from WorldNet Daily. It's a website, it's a political website in America. It has 200,000 people a day hit it. 6 million people a month check this website out, okay? You know what their headlines have been for 3 weeks? Why do Christians worship on Sunday? This is the headlines of WorldNet Daily. Why do Christians worship on Sunday? It says, learn the history of what happened to the Sabbath. Have you ever wondered why one of the 10 commandments, this is right in their headlines when you click on it for the day, have you ever wondered why one of the commandments seems to be null and void, notably the one calling for believers to observe the Sabbath? I don't know who these people are. I don't have a clue who they are, but they're talking about the Sabbath. Ask your pastor and priest, and you will probably hear it's because Jesus rose from the dead on Sunday. And then there's the little problem of the switch of worship days not being mentioned in the Bible. And the historic fact that most Christians continued observing Sabbath for hundreds of years after Jesus rose from the dead. So what happened? What caused this switch? And then they're promoting a video, the seventh day. You may have seen the 7th day by Hal Holbrook narrating the 7th day. They're selling the video on this secular website. And so what happened? What caused the switch? The WorldNet Daily Superstore has compiled a treasure trove of literature and video documentaries that trace the history. They're saying we have a treasure trove. What's a treasure trove? Well, it's a treasure that's been found hidden. It's a treasure that we have discovered, a treasure that's been hidden, that's been found hidden. And another definition of treasure trove would be a discovery of great value. Here's WorldNet Daily. 6 million people a day can click on this and say, we have discovered a treasure of great value, a treasure found hidden. Then we have Glenn Beck. In America, I don't know if you get Glenn Beck over here, but he has been quite popular in America. Millions of people listen to Glenn Beck every day. He's on the radio, he's on TV, on Fox News, Glenn Beck, okay? Again, a political guy. He's a Mormon. You know, he spent 8 minutes with millions of people. His viewership is probably about 3 million people a night watch Glenn Beck. He spent 8 minutes talking about the Sabbath and the day of Thanksgiving, and he identified that the first Thanksgiving in North America was held on Sabbath. And he goes into great detail about how it was Friday night when they were in this ship and they were almost shipwrecked. But the next day was the Sabbath and how they rested, and it's amazing video, 8 minutes. I have a record of it. So millions of people are hearing Glenn Beck. Chuck Missler has a big ministry in America. He's out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and he has seminars probably about 6 seminars a year all around North America. And his title of his seminar is Stealing the Mind as One Mind, Iron Sharpens Iron, so one mind sharpens the other. And he is on the radio in Denver, and I was going to work one morning, I heard him say, my wife and I are keeping the Sabbath. He says, we're keeping the Sabbath in honor of creation. He says, we have 3 rules. We keep it sundown to sundown. Number 2, our other rule is that whatever we do together. Number 3, our third rule is we have no more rules. Now, he said, it's not enough to make the Seventh-day Adventists happy, but we're keeping the Sabbath. We're keeping the Sabbath in honor of creation. So here we have another spokesman heard on radios across North America saying we're keeping the Sabbath. Shocked by the Bible. Joe Kovacs is a guy who has written Shocked by the Bible. I'm going to work Christmas Eve, right before Christmas. And I'm listening to Peter Boyles on the radio station. He's got this guy wrote Shocked by the Bible. And Peter Boyles comes on and says, he says, you really make people mad every time you're on our radio station. Now, here is a secular man. Peter Boyles is not a Christian, and neither is his station, okay? But he's a secular guy. And he brings this on because it's controversial stuff. And he says, Joe, you really make people mad. Every time you're on, we get emails, we get calls. People really get mad. But he says, you're not a pagan. You're really a Christian. Oh, yeah, I'm a Christian. He says, I'm just trying to get people to read their Bible. People don't know what's in their Bible. People don't read it. Christmas is a pagan holiday. He had him back on Good Friday. There's no Easter bunnies in the Bible. Easter's a pagan holiday. And so he starts preaching the Seventh-day Adventist message. He says, people think you go to heaven when you die. That's not in the Bible. They just put the comma in the wrong place. Joe Kovacs, Shocked by the Bible, okay? He says, and people worship on Sunday, but he says that's not in the Bible. That was changed by Constantine. And he goes into Levitical, the laws of Leviticus, dietary laws of Leviticus. And he said Christians today think they can eat everything, and so he goes back and starts talking about the laws of Leviticus. So here's Joe Kovacs, the rocks are crying out. Yes. Oh, okay. I thought you were by the way, as we go through our astronomy programs, feel free to ask questions. And if not, we'll do a session at the end, maybe if you have questions, but feel free to ask questions if you do. So here's Joe Kovacs writing a book, Shocked by the Bible. It's a bestseller, Shocked by the Bible. And it's even got Riley's endorsement on it there. Okay, one more thing. And Leo Scriven. You've probably seen Leo Scriven. Leo Scriven. And let me back up a little bit. When Super Bowl week, when we have Super Bowl, people spend millions of dollars to advertise on Super Bowl. Oh, I've got 10 minutes. Okay, great. We're right on time. Talk shows, the week before Super Bowl, they're all talking about the commercials because this is where companies spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to have the best advertisement, best commercial, because this has the biggest audience ever in America, Super Bowl week, when they have Super Bowl. And so radio stations will play the commercials before Super Bowl. And they have people call in, what do you think about this? What's your favorite commercial? What do you like? What don't you like? And the week after Super Bowl, they're talking about the commercials. Criticizing, talking about the commercials. It gets a lot of publicity in America. There's nothing probably else that gets more publicity. Guess what? Leo Scriven is planning to do a commercial on the Sabbath at Super Bowl next year. He's raising money right now. You can send $20 and help support. In fact, he's paying, I think, $5,000 for the person who can write the best Super Bowl commercial. This is going to be a real challenge. So here we have, again, what does Ellen White say? Before the plagues are followed out, while Jesus is still in the sanctuary, the Sabbath is going to be more fully proclaimed. I think we can put a stake in the ground. We're right here. The next event is the falling of the plagues. The Sabbath is being more fully proclaimed. So I'm excited. The end is near. The question for you and for me, are we doing all we can to reach those in our circle of influence with the third angel's message? Would you like to kneel as we close?